Hello everyone, and I'm back with another video, and this time I'm going to be doing my top 15 favourite manga. Back when I first started doing YouTube in 2018, one of my first videos that I did was a top 10 manga video, and then I redid it in 2020 as a top 20 manga video. But this time I decided to go down the middle, as my favourites have changed a bit since then, with a top 15 manga video. So I'm going to be showing my top 15 favourite manga of current day. And before we get into the video, just a disclaimer that this is my personal list, it's my opinion, and it doesn't contain your favourite series. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that it's not personally one of my favourites. Anyway, let's get into the list. And first up, at number 15, I have Something's Wrong With Us by Natsumi Ando. And this is a series I started reading last year when it came out. Last year, I think. When it first started coming out, anyway. And it's currently an ongoing series. It's complete in Japan, it's 16 volumes. We've currently got 10 volumes available in English. I've read 9. And though it's not a completed series yet, it's still on this list. I still love it a lot. This is published by Kodansha. All the manga on this list do have physical English printings, although some of them are out of print. And this is like a romance, thriller, psychological manga about this woman. When she was a child, her mother was accused of murdering his father, because they work in this wagashi shop where they make like traditional Japanese sweets, and the mother was working in the shop alongside his father, who was the owner of the shop, and she got the blame for murdering his father, and she got sent to prison. So years later, Mao now gets a letter from her mother from the prison saying, "I didn't do it." So now has returned to the sweet shop. It's called Koketsuan, to try and find out the truth and like clear her mother's name. And there she meets Tsubaki again as an adult, and she decides to marry him in order to get closer to the shop and to find out the secrets of what actually happened all those years ago. I love the drama in this series. There's so many twists and turns, and it's just very good. I like this psychological mystery sort of manga. And the artwork is also nice too. You get a lot of scenes of them making the traditional Japanese sweets, so you get some cooking, and then you get the elements of the mystery, and you get a bit of romance, which is slightly spicy mixed in there as well. And I just think this is a very good series. Anyway, moving on to my number 14 favourite, and that is The King's Beast by Ray Toma. No, this won't be the only Ray Toma work on this list. I do like her. This is an ongoing series that has currently got 7 volumes out. I have read 6 of them, and this is published by Viz Media's Shoujo Beatline. And The King's Beast is a fantasy, it's like a fantasy drama series with some romance as well. And this is has like an ancient Chinese setting. It's like we have this girl, she's an Ajin, and in the world of The King's Beast, Ajin are like demi-humans. They have animalistic features and they're treated like slaves. The male Ajin become servants to royalty, whereas the female Ajin basically have to become like sex workers. But anyway, her brother becomes the beast servant of a prince, and he gets killed. And now she wants revenge against the murderer, so she has to pretend to be a boy in order to become a beast servant herself. But beast servants kind of has to have special powers, and she doesn't have any special powers, so she has to make up for that with her like fighting skills. So she enters the palace and becomes the beast servant of the prince who her brother once served. And things go from there. This is a very good fantasy shoujo series. I do like a good fantasy shoujo. And again, I really like the art in this one. There's some good action. There's some intrigue too about what's actually going on and who the murderer is. And again, this is another very good one that I enjoy. And again, it's still ongoing. I only started reading it recently, but I had to put it on this list as I already love it so much. And now we are moving on to number 13 on the list. And that is I Hear the Sunspot by Yuki Fumino. This is published by One Piece Books and is a kind of continuing series. We have 5 volumes in English from different points of it. We have I Hear the Sunspot, this was a one-shot. Then we have Theory of Happiness, which is another one-shot, which comes after this. And then we have Limit, which is a 3-volume series, which comes after that. And then we have 4 Seasons, which just currently got its first volume out in Japan, and I'm hoping One Piece picks that up soon. So, I Hear the Sunspot is a BL, like, romance slice of life series about Taichi and what's his name again? I never forget these guys' names, but I somehow forgot. Kohei. This is one of the manga where I could always remember the main characters' names. And now I've forgotten the main characters' names. Kohei. Taichi and Kohei. Now Kohei is hearing impaired. He's not completely deaf, but he does have very reduced hearing. And he can't hear the lectures in class, so he needs someone to take notes for him. These two are in college, by the way. So he hires Taichi to become his note taker by feeding him lunches as payment. And the two of them start to grow closer and start to develop some more romantic feelings for each other, and this is a very good series. I highly enjoy it. I really like the characters in this one as well. I think the characters are really good. It's definitely one of my favourite BLs. It's such a sweet one as well. Anyway, that's I Hear the Sunspot. I highly recommend it. Moving on to the number 12 on this list, I have Inspector by Kyoshi Odaya, and the art is by Chishiba Katase. I think that's how you say it. Inspector is published by Kodansha. And this is a mystery, like paranormal series about Kotoko, who is the god of wisdom to yokai. When she was 11 years old, she was kidnapped by yokai and asked if she would become their god of wisdom and like solve their issues and mysteries for them, and she agreed. So to confirm this, they removed her leg and her eye, so she's got one eye and one leg. And she now solves mysteries and problems for yokai, and she meets Kuro, who is a college student. I think she was in high school at the time when she met him, and he was visiting his cousin in hospital, and she learns some secrets about Kuro and she falls for Kuro, and then the story jumps to like a few years later where Kuroko's now in college, and Kuro I think is still in college as well, and they work together to solve these yokai's mysteries and problems. This is originally based off a novel series, also by Kyoshi Odaya, which the original novel covered like the first 6 volumes, and then as of volume 7 they were written alongside each other, so they're not really one as the source material anymore, and they're coming out simultaneously. But yeah, I really love this series. I like the mysteries in here, I love the characters. Kotoko is like one of my favourite manga characters. I love how dirty she is and the vulgar things that come out of her mouth. She's just great. And I love how she solves all these problems that the yokai have using intelligence. Rather than fighting like physically, she uses her intelligence to solve all these problems. Yeah, I really like this one. It also has some slight romance elements too, but not that many. So that's Inspector. Now at number 11 on the list, I have a Josei series called Happy Marriage by Maki and Joji, by, again, the Shoujo Beatline from Viz Media. Happy Marriage is a romance series that centers around these two. I don't remember their names at all. Don't think it even says. Oh, Chiwa and Hokuto. Chiwa and Hokuto, and Chiwa is in debt. She has to pay off her grandfather's debt, and in order to do that, she ends up marrying Hokuto for the money because he's rich and she needs the money, and he needs a marriage partner to satisfy his family. So they enter into this like fake marriage where they do it for like their own reasons. But she's just wants him to pay off her debts, so they kind of enter into like this fake marriage situation. But obviously they get married and they start living together, but the two of them don't really get on, and they're like fighting all the time and stuff. And I just really like this series. I thought it was a fun romance series that I really enjoyed. So yeah, that is. And the art is Maki and Joji's art is good too. Yeah, so that is Happy Marriage. So that is the bottom 5 on my list, and we're now entering into the top 10 segment of the list, which consists of my 10 favourites. And at number 10, I have something very new that I picked up, I think, last year or the year before. But that is After School Nightmare by Satona Misashiro. Oh yeah, and Happy Marriage is a completed series at 10 volumes, by the way. And Inspector is ongoing at 16 volumes. I keep forgetting to mention that anyway. After School Nightmare is a complete series at 10 volumes. This one is out of print. It's a bit harder to find. It's by Gokomi, the publisher. I think they're defunct now. But After School Nightmare is like, this is a bit of like a horror, mystery, psychological, shoujo drama, romance series. It's about this character in the middle here who is intersex, which means his bottom half is female and his top half is male, but he does identify as male as at the beginning of the series. And he's in this school with other people, and this school has like a basement, and people go down into this basement and they enter into like a sleep state where they go into like this dream world where they appear in this dream world as different things. And when he enters this dream world, he appears as in a fully female body. Like, and there's also people who are knights and other stuff. And whilst in this basement, they're told that they have to find these keys. And if they can find the key, then they get to graduate. They had absolutely no idea what this means, what graduating means, or what finding the keys does, but if they don't go into this dream world for 3 nights in a row, then they will disappear and, like, vanish from existence. So they're going down to try and find these keys, and the keys are inside of another person, so they have to kill each other to get these keys. Anyway, he meets this girl, and also this guy here, and I can't remember the girl's name. But he kind of becomes friends with these two, and these two have their secrets too. This is a bit of a darker series. These characters do have some tragic backgrounds. And I really enjoyed it. I really loved these series. This one does have quite a few twists along the way. I did predict a couple of those twists. I kind of guessed the ending somewhat. I had a vague idea of what graduating meant, and I somewhat guessed right, but not completely. But anyway, I love this series a lot. It's a great one. And if you can find this series, I highly recommend giving it a go. It's fantastic. Yeah, and the art's good too. This author also did other series, like such as Back Rows Alice, which I think is on hiatus, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And she's done a few BLs as well. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Next up I have number 9, the other Raytoma work on this list, which is Dawn at the Arcana, complete at 13 volumes and published by Shoujo Beat. This is another fantasy shoujo series that is set in the same world as The King's Beast. This one came first, only this one's in more of a European-like setting rather than a Chinese setting. Then we have humans and Ajin, and again the Ajins are treated as slaves. And we have Nakaba, was her name, I think. She is the princess of one of the... There's 2 kingdoms, and she's the princess of one of them, and she's sent to marry the prince of the other kingdom. But royalty in this world must have black hair, and if the only one who doesn't kind of gets discriminated against, and she has red hair, so she's sent to this other country to marry Caesar, who is the prince. But obviously because of her black hair, she's kind of discriminated against and picked on. It has very good art. And she goes with her beast servant Loki. This guy here. Anyway, she gets to this other kingdom and obviously Caesar is not being very nice to her. He doesn't really want to marry her. But then she discovers that she has this power which is called an Arcana, and she has the Arcana of time, in which she can see the past or the future of certain things, and she uses this power to save Caesar from an accident. Yeah, and it's a very good series. Again, I really like fantasy shoujo, and I really enjoyed this one too. Now moving on to number 8. This one's dropped quite a lot of places. This used to be top 5. And that is Seraph of the End, Vampire Reign, by Takeya Kagami, art by Yamato Yamamoto, and the storyboard is by Daisuke Furuya. This is published by Viz Shonen Jump Advanced line. And Seraph at the End is ongoing at 24 volumes currently, plus some prequel light novels which are also very good. This is a story about Yuichiro, who the world ended when he was a child, and everyone above the age of 12, or was it 14, ended up dying, apart from a select few who had like demon gear and stuff like that. Anyway, he's taken by the vampires with the rest of the kids from his orphanage to a vampire city, and they get to 12 years old and they know that they don't have that many years left before they obviously exceed the age limit that kids can survive to. Now, you and Mika who is Yu's best friend, decide to form a plot to escape this underground vampire city, but the plan goes horribly wrong. Everyone except for you gets slaughtered, including Mika, and you then escapes, runs into Goran, who's a member of he's a lieutenant general in the army, in the demon army, which is an army who fights the vampires and also these demons called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which are kind of running around. Anyway, you then vows to destroy all vampires and flash forward to when you were 16. He's now trying to get through and kill all the vampires. And I really enjoyed this series a lot. It's a shonen action vampire series with some drama. I also like how it's all intertwined with the novels. There's more than just the vampires going on in this series. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more lore and background and what is actually going on. I also really love how the light novels and the expand on this world and give it like more background and stuff, and I really love all of that. And it expands on some of the other characters too, and I just really enjoy this series a lot. And that is Turf at the End. Next up, we are at number 7, and I have Yeon of the Dawn, another fantasy shoujo. This is by Mizuho Kusanagi, and this is also Shoujo Beat. It's a fantasy shoujo romance drama historical series about Princess Yona, and she's a princess in the castle. It's kind of like Chinese sort of, ancient Chinese sort of setting. And she lives in the palace with her father and her cousin Suwon, and her servant Hack. He's like a servant bodyguard sort of person. And one day she wants to confess her feelings to Suwon, but she goes to him and finds out that he has murdered her father, and he is also trying to murder her, but she manages to escape from the palace along with Hack's help. And then she comes across this prophet who instructs her to find the 4 dragon warriors to kind of bring back right order and peace to the kingdom. So she sets out to find these 4 dragon warriors, the blue, green, yellow and white dragons, and she finds out she's the reincarnation of the Crimson Dragon King, who was a dragon who lived in human form, like at the beginning of Koga Kingdom's history. Again, this is very good. It's an ongoing series, currently 36 volumes in English and 39 volumes in Japanese. So we are actually catching up to the Japanese series now, so I noticed that the releases are slowing down a bit. Yeah, I really do love Yeon of the Dawn. Fantastic series, and the anime really needs a second season. I would love that. Next up, number 6 on the list, I have Queen's Quality by Kyosuke Motomi, also published by Shoujo Beat. This is an ongoing series at, I think, 16 volumes currently out in English. This one's rather yellow because I used to keep this on my windowsill because I was stupid back then, and I thought keeping manga on a windowsill was a very good idea, and that nothing could possibly go wrong. Anyway, this won't be the first time Kyosuke Motomi appears on this list either. Queen's Quality is an action, fantasy, shoujo, supernatural series about Fumi and Q, Taro and Sweeping. You do need to read the prequel first. There was a prequel called Q Sweeper, which came out before this. It's 3 volumes long, it's complete, and then this continues on from there. It's very good, just make sure you read that one first. It's kind of like the prologue. Anyway, we follow Fumi, who wakes up in the school without any memories and is found by Kyutaro, who is a sweeper of the Genbu Gate. And sweepers are people who go into people's mind vaults, and clean out these bugs that causes them to have negative thoughts and stuff. So they clean out these bugs inside of people's heads, and he is training Fumi, who accidentally made her way into the inside, which is what they call the mind vaults, to become a sweeper as well and help her kind of remember a bit more about her past. So yeah, this is a very good series and I absolutely love it. Very good action scenes, good romance, good everything. The series is just amazing. Definitely a favourite. The art too, I also really like Kyosuke Motomi's art. It's quite unique. Especially the way she does the faces. Anyway, that is Queen's Quality. And now we are going to move on to my top 5. And the first one in that top 5 is Given by Natsuki Kizu, and Given is published by Sublime. This is an ongoing BL series that is currently at 6 volumes. And I love Given. I'm obsessed with Given. You don't understand my absolute obsession with Given. I watched the new dub recently that came out on Crunchyroll, and it was very good. I do highly recommend you check that out, especially if you haven't previously watched it. I've watched it like 3 times now. I'm waiting for the movie dub to come out in November as well. Looking forward to that. And Given is like a music drama romance series about Mafuyu, and Mafuyu is found by Umiyama sleeping in a stairwell hugging a electric guitar, and it is the place where Umiyama usually sleeps. So he goes up to Mafuyu, and Mafuyu notices that Umiyama notices Mafuyu's strings are broke, so he fixes them for him, and then Mafuyu asks if he'll teach him how to play guitar, which he turns him down until he hears him sing, at which point he tries to get him to join his band, which is with Akihiko and Haruki, who are the other bandmates, and Given is just amazing. I'm just obsessed with Given. I really like the characters and the story and everything. Also, I do highly recommend checking out the anime for this one too, so you can actually hear the music. So yeah, fantastic series. Really amazing. I kind of love everything about it. Now moving on to number 4 on the list. We have Kyosuke Motomi's Dengeki Daisy, published by Shoujo Beat. This is a complete series at 16 volumes, and it is awesome. This is an age gap though, so if you don't agree with age gaps, or if you don't want to read about age gaps, then try and avoid this one. Although the story is excellent, it's kind of like a thriller shoujo romance drama series. The art again is Kyosuke Motomi, so of course it's going to be good. But this series follows around Teru, whose brother has recently died, and when he died, he gave Teru this phone saying, if you ever need help, contact Daisy and he will help you. So she has this phone with Daisy's number in it, who she's meant to contact whenever she needs help, and Daisy is like this genius hacker. And then at school one day she breaks a window, and the school janitor, Kurosaki, has to have her work with him to pay off the broken window. And then some stuff happens that revolving around Daisy and the phone, and people trying to get this phone in order to get into contact with Daisy, because apparently Daisy has information that they want. And anyway, she ends up staying with Kurosaki for a while, and she starts to some stuff, and it's very good. I do highly recommend this one. There's a lot of there's some mystery elements to it and some thriller elements to it, and it's just very good. I love it. I love it so much. Anyway, that is Dengeki Daisy. Very good series. And next up, I have number 3 on the list, which is Library Wars. Now, Library Wars is like a shoujo romance military action series published by Shoujo Beat. Again, this one is out of print, so it's a bit harder to pick up, but like After School Nightmare. It's a completed series at 15 volumes, and it is written by Kiro Yumi, and it's based off the original novel by Hiro Arakawa. Now, Library Wars is about this library task force. We have Iku, and she wants to join this library task force ever since she was saved by a member when she was a teenager, because there's this this takes place in the near future, where there's this committee called the Media Betterment Committee, and they're going around trying to censor media, and the library task force's job is to protect books and stop them from being censored or banned by bringing them into this library where everyone's free to read them completely as they were intended. The Iku joins this task force under Instructor Dojo, who is the one who's teaching her, and tries to save the books and stuff, and it's very good. It's a very cool concept. I just really love this series so much. I found the complete thing at a con years ago. It was sitting there, complete, 15 volumes, and I was like, I've never heard of this series, I don't know what it's about, but it's a shoujo. And I read the back, and I was like, that sounds interesting, so I took a chance, and I bought it, and I'm so glad I did. But it became a fast favourite. It hasn't left my top 5 since I first read it, and I highly doubt it ever will. This is an absolutely fantastic series that I highly recommend to whoever would be interested in reading it. So yeah, that's Rivals. 2 left to go. I've actually kept track of numbers. That's a first. Number 2, I have Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is amazing. This is by Natsuki Takiya, published originally by Tokyo Pop and then republished in these collector's editions by Yeon Press. And Fruits Basket is a shoujo drama romance series about Toru. And Toru has just recently lost her mother, and she's been living in a tent. But what she doesn't realise is this tent is actually on this property of the Somas. So the Somas family, who is a family who was cursed by the spirits of the Chinese zodiac to turn into that certain animal in the zodiac when hooked by the opposite sex. So she ends up moving into the house with the Somas after her tent gets destroyed, and she meets Shigure, who is the dog, Kyo, who is the cat, and Yuki, who is the rat. And you may know that there isn't actually a cat in the zodiac, and so Kyo is like the odd one out. He's like ostracised by the rest of the family and stuff. And all these Somas have like tragic backstories and stuff. They've all had not the best childhoods, and obviously they view this affliction as a curse. And Toru, from meeting the Somas, helps them out with this and helps them overcome their pasts and stuff like that. And I just love Fruits Basket. It is excellent. I was first introduced to it through the 2004 anime, was the original anime. The original anime, after watching the original anime, I really wanted to read the manga, but at the time it was out of print. So when I got the news that Yeon Press was publishing them in these collector's editions, I was so happy, and I finally got to read the manga. And then of course we got the remake, which is fantastic as well. I recommend checking out the anime if you haven't. It's brilliant. All 3 seasons. Great, fantastic. One of the few animes that got 10 out of 10. Right, I love the characters in Fruits Basket. I love the story in Fruits Basket. I love everything about Fruits Basket. I'm obsessed with Fruits Basket to the point where I have Fruits Basket everywhere. Alright, Given and Fruits Basket. They're like my 2 biggest obsessions. Anyway, there's Fruits Basket at number 2. This is a complete series, by the way, at 12 omnibuses, 23 single volumes. And the final series on this list at my number 1 top favourite is Inuyasha by Rumiko Takahashi, published in Fizbig by Viz Media. This is a completed series at 18 omnibuses and 50 something singles, I think. I'm not quite sure. Inuyasha is like an action shonen demons, kind of bit of an isekai, but not really because it's time travel series. Where Kagome is a middle school girl who ends up travelling to the past by falling into her family's well, and she's now like in the past. I've forgotten what the era's called that she ends up in. Anyway, while she's there, she meets Inuyasha, who's a half demon, and he was stuck to a tree. He was shot by an arrow like 500 years prior, and he's been stuck to the tree ever since. Anyway, she releases him, and It turns out she has this jewel inside of her body called the Shikon Jewel, which demons want to use to become stronger. Anyway, Inuyasha also wants this jewel so he can become a full demon. Anyway, the jewel bursts out of her. Whilst in a frenzy to get this jewel back from a demon, Kagome ends up hitting it with an arrow and shattering it, the shards flying all over the world. Well, the country. And she now has to team up with Inuyasha to get these shards back and reconstruct the jewel. This is a very nostalgic series for me. I first watched the anime when I was about 13, and I was obsessed. Like, for years. But at the time, I don't think the manga was in print. It might have been, but I don't think it was. Because I remember getting these. Yeah, the manga was definitely not in print when I first started watching this. Because I didn't even read manga when I first started watching this. Anyway, I remember when these got announced anyway, and I decided to pick them up. In fact, I got the first 3 volumes for Christmas one year. So yeah, Inuyasha was like one of my first obsessions when I was like 13 to 16. So yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia in it for me, and I still really love this series a lot. And the characters, and like, it's just great. I like it a lot. Anyway, that is my top 15 favourite manga of all time. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And I will be doing a top 10 anime update probably within the next couple of weeks, because I haven't done one of them since 2018 and things have changed since then. You see, well, Fruits Basket and Given came out since then for one thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and that'll be it for now, and goodbye.